So Robert Mueller has officially resigned, which I found a little surprising since I was under the impression that once the report was submitted back in March, technically there was no more role for Robert Mueller anyway. But I guess there was a few intricacies that you can't really know about. Now, I do want to let you know that as usual, I do want you to subscribe, like all of that stuff. There is an important channel announcement at 12:30, so be sure to tune in then. It's going to be another premiere. So with this announcement, the Mueller investigation now goes to a phase where Congress has absolutely only one way forward because they can't get anything more out of the special counsel. Robert Mueller's role, once he was appointed by Rod Rosenstein, was to be the redeemer of this whole cause of proving that the 2016 election had nothing to do with voter dissatisfaction under the Obama administration and the needs of people in the Midwest and immigration problems and Obamacare and things like that. They wanted it to be about Russian collusion and foreign interference in the election and the disloyalty of the Republicans and Donald Trump, or especially Donald Trump. What they have instead is this person, Bob Mueller, who wasted the public's time for about 2.5 years now. And this press conference, you can see, was one of the most disgraceful displays I've ever seen. We'll watch a little of it, but I'm going to focus on some main points.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here. 2 years ago, the acting Attorney General asked me to serve as special counsel, and he created the special counsel's office. The appointment order directed the office to investigate Russian interference in the 2016 presidential election. This included investigating any links or coordination between the Russian government and individuals associated with the Trump campaign. Now, I have not spoken publicly during our investigation. I'm speaking out today because our investigation is complete. The Attorney General has made the report on our investigation largely public. We are formally closing the special counsel's office, and as well, I'm resigning from the Department of Justice to return to private life. I'll make a few remarks about the results of our work. But beyond these few remarks, it is important that the office's written work speak for itself. Let me begin where the appointment order begins, and that is interference in the 2016 presidential.
So when you go through this entire statement, you'll notice things that Robert Mueller does say and the things that he doesn't say. He never, of course, says that there was no collusion, but the report says that there was no proof that the Trump campaign colluded with Russia. So there is no hope of this collusion nonsense being revived, and in fact, the entire case against Donald Trump from now on relies exclusively on the premise that you can charge him or I guess impeach him on the basis that he obstructed justice in fighting the Mueller investigation for a crime that has never been proven to have occurred.
Election. As alleged by the grand jury in an indictment, Russian intelligence officers who were part of the Russian military launched a concerted attack on our political system. The indictment alleges that they used sophisticated cyber techniques to hack into computers and networks used by the Clinton campaign. They stole private information and then released that information through fake online identities and through the organization WikiLeaks. The releases were designed and timed to interfere with our election and to damage a presidential candidate. And at the same time as the grand jury alleged in a separate indictment, a private Russian entity engaged in a social media operation where Russian citizens posed as Americans in order to influence an election. These indictments contain allegations, and we are not commenting on the guilt or the innocence of any specific defendant. Every defendant is presumed innocent unless and until proven guilty. The indictments allege, and the other activities in our report describe, efforts to interfere in our political.
So that's important. Who is he saying has a presumption of innocence in this case? Russian operatives, people from the Russian intelligence services. So we can infer from this that if people who are not even American citizens, who are servants at the pleasure of a foreign rival, the Russian Federation, if they're entitled to the presumption of innocence, according to Robert Mueller, why isn't Donald Trump also entitled to the presumption of innocence? You don't have to necessarily believe in the Trump vision or in his candor when he's denying anything that he's talking about, but you have to acknowledge that Mueller had any tool that he needed in order to find what he needed to find concerning Russia and Trump, and he even had, at a certain point, flipped people that were within the Trump orbit, including Michael Cohen, who was his personal attorney. And yet, after all that time, he got nothing. It was really a pathetic display. And Robert Mueller in this entire press conference was a pathetic figure. And another thing that people should remember is that you have this declaration concerning there's all this stuff about how, it's possible that Robert Mueller, hold on, it says here, we conducted an independent criminal investigation and reported the results to the Attorney General as required by department regulations. So once the report was submitted, there was this, the Democrats started to declare, hey, Barr didn't really reveal what was in the Mueller report. In fact, his summary was lying about the basic idea and distilled premise of the Mueller report, and therefore we have to keep investigating because Barr was misrepresenting it. So then he says right here, Mueller says, the Attorney General then concluded that it was appropriate to provide our report to Congress and the American people. At one point in time, I requested that certain portions of the report be released. The Attorney General preferred to make the entire report public all at once. We appreciate that the Attorney General made the report largely public. I do not question the Attorney General's good faith in that decision. That's a very important statement. And what it means is that even if you are to concede that there was a difference in opinion between Barr and Mueller as far as whether Trump could possibly be charged for obstruction of justice, Mueller does not question the legality and the legitimacy of how Barr released the report. And I want to go even further than that. If people are so obsessed with obstruction of justice, and they've been looking at this as one of the most unprecedented scandals in American history, and that Trump is, possibly the most corrupt president in history, some of these people were around during the Clinton impeachment hearings, especially some people in the Senate like Dianne Feinstein and various other Patrick Leahy, who's also on the Senate Judiciary Committee. So when those people want to talk about obstruction of justice, you have to remember that the Clinton White House was concealing tens of thousands of files from the Kenneth Starr Committee, the Starr Committee that was looking into Whitewater and all these other issues that were pertaining to the Clinton scandals. The Clintons also, so they hid these documents. They deliberately misled the investigators as to where they are. So these were documents that were directly relevant to the Whitewater investigation. Another issue that happened was that the president himself and his lawyers caused Monica Lewinsky to sign an affidavit denying that she had any sexual contact with the president. That, of course, we know was a lie. So the president and his lawyers suborned perjury from a witness in a legal matter concerning the president. And that's why there was that opinion from the Office of Legal Counsel, which is, you could think of it as the legal department of the Justice Department. And that opinion says that, yeah, you can't indict a sitting president. So the impeachment went ahead, and at the time there was justified grounds for saying that President Clinton had suborned perjury and he himself had committed perjury by lying under oath about his relationship with Monica Lewinsky. And there was an endless list of other issues with President Clinton at the time, with Chinagate and with Whitewater, and with respect to, various things that he did with the FBI and the office of and the travel office of the White House. A lot of different issues back at the time that we could rehash forever and ever, and they should have been addressed at the time. But the Democratic Party saw it fit to sweep that under the rug, and they continue to sweep that stuff under the rug. And every time there is a scandal in that party, they continue to sweep it under the rug. Yes, Donald Trump is not a perfect person, and I do believe that if you really want to look at his entire life, you'll see a person that has, scandals that rocked his entire personal business and everything. There was several affairs that he had. He's technically cheated on all three of his wives. Somebody corrected me yesterday when I said that he cheated on two of them. We're not trying to say that Donald Trump is the type of person that we should all aspire to be in our personal lives or in our relationships with the rest of the world. We're just saying that after 2 years of trying to tie him to a treasonous crime, the Justice Department completely failed, the independent counsel completely failed, the media completely failed, the Twitter celebrities completely failed. How much more of this do we have to take? And when are they going to focus on actual issues that are going on in this country? People are trying to figure out, you have Andrew Yang running around the country, and I don't agree with him certainly on his premise, but he's building a campaign around solving people's economic problems with forward-thinking financial models. And you have other people who are warning against wars overseas. Those people are being ignored by a media that's still obsessed with a collusion that never happened, and therefore by an obstruction of the investigation into this myth that they created. So that's about it. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also subscribe to me on the other social media platforms, BitChute, Minds, and Gab, as well as on Subscribestar. Don't forget to tune in at 12:30, and I'll talk to you later.